On Earth, there are places so dangerous that life seems to stand on the edge of its most fragile limit. These are lands where nature does not appear as a scene to admire, but as a colossal force constantly testing the limits of human endurance. There, people do not simply live within nature. They must learn to negotiate with it every single day. Every road, every village, and every step can become a test of survival. Yet it is this harshness that creates a beauty, both overwhelming, terrifying, and impossible to look away from. Today, we begin a journey into the most dangerous places on Earth, where nature constantly reminds humanity just how small we truly are. At Huku Waterfall in Shaanxi, China, a massive river is suddenly compressed and forced downward, creating a concentrated and powerful natural phenomenon. The entire flow appears thick and brownish yellow due to heavy sediment, making it resemble dense liquid rather than ordinary water. Before dropping, the river is forced from about 300 feet wide down to roughly 80 feet, dramatically increasing pressure and speed in a confined space. Even when standing several hundred feet away, the constant crashing sound of water remains intense, creating a strong sense of pressure even without seeing the flow. Instead of falling in a smooth sheet, the water continuously breaks into layers and swirling currents, keeping the surface in constant motion. The extremely high sediment density changes how the water behaves on impact, causing it to spread and collide with rock in ways rarely seen in other waterfalls. Visit Santa Cruz del Islote, a tiny artificial island in the Caribbean Sea, an incredible hanging town known as one of the most densely populated places on Earth. With an area of only 129,000 square feet, this island, about the size of a large soccer field, forces all living spaces to practically touch one another. built from coral, stone, and sand by fishermen in the 19th century. The island stands in the ocean like a hanging structure perched right at the water's edge. Due to the extreme lack of land, families must share every square inch of common space, creating a tightly knit community within very limited boundaries. Today, hundreds of people from nearly 100 households live intermingled, turning the site into a dense, hanging urban maze in the middle of the sea. Each year, tens of thousands of tourists arrive from Cartagena, causing the human traffic on this small space to surge, making this hanging town intensely crowded during peak days. Instead of resting on solid ground, Uros, floating islands between Peru and Bolivia, exist as a human-made floating layer drifting across a vast water surface. From tightly woven root layers below, the Uros stack reed stems above, forming a floating surface strong enough to support daily life and simple housing structures. The area includes about 120 floating islands, each holding only a few homes, creating a small but tightly connected community across generations. On this reed surface, houses, boats and walkways all share the same material, making the entire living system depend directly on a single natural resource. As lower reed layers slowly decay in water, residents constantly add new layers above, maintaining stability and preventing the floating surface from weakening over time. When you step on the reed surface, the unstable feeling underfoot reveals that the entire settlement is always in slight motion, forcing continuous adaptation to its environment. Mangkang, also called the vertical salt cliffs in Tibet, appears as a towering wall of white salt rising from a dry, high plateau shaped by mineral-rich rock layers. Nearly vertical salt cliffs expose clear sediment layers, creating fragile surfaces that can crack easily and make movement or work along the slopes highly risky. Hundreds of small salt ponds line the steep ground, built and maintained over generations, showing how local families accepted danger to protect their long-term livelihood. Thick salt crystals coat the rock face and reflect strong light, increasing the chance of slipping, especially where hollow mineral crusts form beneath a hard outer layer. Salt production here has continued for hundreds of years, a time span comparable to the history of many famous ancient cities, proving remarkable community endurance. In this workspace, pressed against brittle salt walls and unstable rock, accidents remain a constant threat because one misstep on loose mineral crust can cause serious consequences. Hidden deep in Guizhou Province, China, Getu River is a place where a river can completely disappear into a mountain and reappear somewhere else. The entire region, formed as limestone, was dissolved over millions of years, creating a vast underground network with spaces as large as major structures. Massive natural arches rise hundreds of feet high, cutting through mountains, allowing sunlight to pass directly from above without obstruction. Towering vertical walls over 1,000 feet high compress the space into a narrow corridor where your view is constricted and the sky becomes only a thin strip above. Some sinkholes drop several hundred feet deep, where sunlight cannot reach the bottom, creating permanent darkness even during the day. This is one of the very few places on Earth where a natural river continuously shifts between surface flow and underground passage within the same system. Perched precariously on the jagged limestone peaks in Chamdo, Tibet, the Zhol Monastery stands at 15,700 feet, like a majestic spiritual mountain fortress. Worship halls and watchtowers are constructed directly into natural caves, creating an architectural complex that clings tightly to the rocky spine of the mountain. The path system here includes narrow stone steps and fragile wooden corridors located right next to the threatening abyss, hundreds of feet deep below. Giant holes through the mountain heart, created by natural weathering processes, provide empty spaces for the grand halls of the monastery to sit within. Local residents and monks maintain a secluded life in an environment with severe oxygen deficiency to preserve ancient religious teachings from a long time. This entire religious structure looks like giant eagle nests hanging suspended among the white cloud layers that constantly surround the high mountain peaks today. Dunka Monastery clings tightly to the jagged cliff edges in the Spiti region of India, creating a scene that challenges all basic laws of physics. Sitting at a towering elevation of nearly 13,000 feet, this 1,000-year-old structure looks like a fortress floating within the very treacherous air. The entire architecture is built directly on fragile limestone pillars, where one single slip would lead straight down a deep 1,000-foot abyss. Houses here are constructed from mud bricks and stone, forming an extreme residential complex situated right along the edge of the steep vertical precipice. Continuous erosion makes the foundation of this site become increasingly unstable, placing it on the list of the most endangered heritages on the planet. Humans here have adapted perfectly to the arid terrain and low oxygen levels to maintain life within these extremely precarious and high-hanging houses. In Shanxi Province, China, Mount Huashan is considered one of the steepest granite mountains where nearly vertical terrain creates a clear survival challenge for anyone who steps onto it. The cliffs rise more than 7,000 feet above sea level, which is nearly 7 times the height of the Statue of Liberty, creating strong psychological pressure during movement. Narrow wooden planks, fixed directly onto the rock face, allow only one person at a time, forcing climbers to clip safety lines onto steel chains before each careful step forward. The almost continuous vertical structure has been preserved for millions of years because hard granite resisted erosion, while weaker rock layers gradually wore away, leaving sharp, exposed surfaces. Local residents say that before modern safety systems, many pilgrims had to grip natural cracks with bare hands, and several accidents were officially recorded during the previous century. The space feels enclosed between rock and cloud, with trees rooted inside narrow gaps and people moving slowly across bare stone, creating a sense of isolation inside a harsh, natural structure. Rising straight from the lush green valley of the Imereti region in Georgia, Katski Pillar is a vertical limestone monolith carrying gravity-defying architectural works on its summit. The only way to access this home in the clouds is a fragile iron ladder, 130 feet long, attached directly to the very dangerous vertical cliff. Any single wrong footstep on the small and narrow stone peak will cause a person to fall straight down a deep abyss equal to 13 stories. Blocks of stone and mortar for the ancient church were mysteriously transported to the top using primitive pulley systems from over 1,000 long years ago. On a surface area of only about 1,600 square feet, monks established an isolated living space complete with a wine cellar and small hermitage rooms. Every brick here contains the extraordinary effort of humans when building a home at the intersection between the solid ground and the vast and endless sky. Deep within the tropical rainforests of eastern Papua in Indonesia, the Krowai tribe chooses to live high in the canopy to escape the mud and dangers of the forest floor. These tree houses are perched up to 45 meters above the ground, creating an extreme risk of falling and making it nearly impossible for any medical or emergency rescue. Built entirely from wood and leaves without nails or concrete, these thin structures are highly vulnerable to rotting or collapsing during heavy storms or intense tropical rainfall. Living almost completely isolated from the modern world, the Korowai are self-sufficient but remain highly vulnerable to death from simple diseases, accidents, or tribal conflicts in the wild. Each family lives scattered in their own hanging house, forming a low-density community that is deeply lonely and easily cut off from any outside help or support. From the forest floor, these houses look like giant bird nests hidden among the trees, offering a beautiful yet hauntingly isolated and dangerous way of human life. Maasai Mara in Kenya appears as an impossible survival puzzle, where humans build villages right in the heart of the world's predator capital. The Manyatas villages here are constructed from mud and livestock waste with windowless structures to prevent the intrusion of wild animals. Local people erect sharp thorn walls over 5 feet high to protect the community against the densest lion population on Earth. This existence becomes even more overwhelming as it sits directly on the Great Rift Valley, a giant geological crack thousands of miles wide. The Olololo Escarpment rises steeply to nearly 500 feet, creating a treacherous natural boundary that challenges all traditional construction techniques. Life in this 583 square miles territory is the clearest evidence of humanity's extraordinary ability to adapt to nature. Agbogbloshie, in the capital city of Accra in Ghana, is a strange land where millions of tons of electronic waste cover the entire natural landscape. At this place, people build their lives directly on top of scrap piles up to 20 feet high, creating an artificial urban area that defies all survival laws. Every year,
Мама, мама, тренер. Очень вкусно. Кстати, полезно. Тут очень много аминокислот.
This area receives about 275,000 tons of global tech trash, turning the natural ground into a mixture of extremely toxic, heavy metals. Temporary houses are built using scrap wood and thin metal sheets, sitting precariously between endless ridges of electronic components. Residents accept living in an environment with lead concentrations measured at 1,000 parts per million, far exceeding the safe limits for human beings. The suffocating adaptation turns the aforementioned location into one of the most dangerous living places in the world with unrealistic terrain conditions. Makoko is located on the Lagos Lagoon, where thousands of wooden houses stand on stilts, forming a dense settlement without natural ground. From above, the area appears as a network of wooden roofs, covering the water surface with tightly connected structures. The settlement stretches about 1 mile along the lagoon, where hundreds of families live within extremely limited and crowded space. Pathways between houses consist of narrow wooden planks or boat routes, creating a transport system fully dependent on water. Houses are built using light wood and metal roofing to reduce pressure on unstable mud foundations and adapt to shifting conditions. Daily life and economic activity depend entirely on boats, linking the community directly to the surrounding water environment. Ganvi in Benin is a bizarre town situated in the middle of Lake Nokoe, where thousands of wooden houses rise directly above the most violent water waves. The entire community of 30,000 residents faces the peril of collapse every second as all homes stand on frail wooden stilts, gripped in deep mud. Just one small mistake on a narrow dugout boat within this shaky labyrinth of stilt houses could plunge a person into the deep, dark lake waters. The foundation of these structures is built from heavy teak wood, which is the only material helping the town endure through over 400 years of history. Covering an area of nearly 1,000 acres or 500 football fields, this is a massive settlement that lacks even a single dry walking path. This system of 3,000 stilt houses, built closely together, creates an extreme survival architecture, proving the resilience of humans against the most difficult natural challenges. Isolated on the eastern coast of Greenland, the town of Ittoqqortoormiit is where humans survive amidst the dangerous encirclement of many giant and wild white predators. Doors here are never locked to ensure that anyone can quickly escape when facing the sudden and deadly pursuit of hungry and massive polar bears. This land is completely cut off from the outside world for 9 months every year when the ocean freezes solid, making ships unable to reach. Each wooden house is painted in vibrant colors, acting as tiny bright spots contrasting sharply with the vast monochrome of the ancient and eternal ice. Residents drive iron pillars deep into the permafrost layer to keep the entire house structure from tilting or collapsing suddenly due to ground shifting. Life here is a strange intersection between modern conveniences and ancient hunting practices to maintain a breath of existence amidst the absolute and silent solitude. Located 34 miles off the North Carolina coast, Frying Pan Tower is a rusting iron block standing alone amidst the ocean, facing fierce storms. Four massive steel pilings are driven deep into the sea floor, supporting thousands of tons of structure, hovering directly above many predatory sharks hunting below. Beneath the floors are constant vibrations, challenging every law of physics, as humans live within a precarious space of absolute and terrifying watery isolation. This tower was once an old lighthouse station, now becoming a home completely separated from the mainland with no paths or any green trees. The unique metal structure is designed to bend with the wave's momentum, helping the building withstand the most brutal and violent destruction from nature. Because it is located on a volcanic cliff in Santorini, Greece, wire must be built in steep layers, creating a settlement directly exposed to dangerous terrain. The settlement stands on a cliff, about 300 feet high, creating a large drop near living areas and forcing structures to anchor firmly to the terrain. The continuous steep terrain requires movement through narrow paths and steps, increasing the risk of slipping when visitor density becomes high. Houses are built directly on volcanic rock, with thick walls providing stability but still depending on the strength of the underlying stone layers. Layered construction reduces available space. So many pathways are extremely narrow, allowing only one person to pass at certain points. During peak seasons, several thousand visitors gather on steep steps and tight pathways, placing heavy pressure on the limited movement system. La Rinconada city, located in the Andes of Peru, clings to icy cliffs at an elevation of over 16,700 feet above sea level. The air here is so thin that oxygen levels are cut in half, making every human step become incredibly heavy and very tiring to take. Tens of thousands of residents live in temporary tin shacks, built right at the edge of a massive and constantly moving giant mountain glacier. Local women sit beside piles of waste rock to sift and search for tiny gold fragments amidst a space covered in silver mineral dust. The 30-day unpaid labor rule makes the lives of miners completely dependent on the bag of rocks they carry during their very last day. The mining system plunges deep into the Rocky Mountain heart, creating a tangled network of man-made caves within the eternal and frozen icy terrain. Located in East Java, Indonesia, Kawah Ijen is home to a mining community living and working directly on the steepest volcanic cliffs. The structure of this industrial village was constructed entirely by hand on narrow paths only 3 feet wide, perched precariously above the abyss. Residents here must carry sulfur loads weighing up to 200 pounds on their shoulders to overcome a treacherous elevation gain of over 1,000 feet. The impossibility lies in the construction of makeshift rest stations, clinging to vertical rock walls where one small mistake leads down to the acid lake. The acid lake surrounding this area has an extremely low pH level of 0.5, creating a harsh living environment that threatens human life. It is the gravity-defying nature of the trails along the crater rim that has turned Kawah Ijen into one of the most dangerous settlements in the world. Paro Takzang sits precariously on a steep cliff face at an elevation of 10,236 feet, looking straight down at a valley floor 3,000 feet below. The temples grip the granite walls of the Himalayas, appearing like a hanging house system, attached to a narrow and fragile rock ledge. You will see stone steps carved directly into the vertical cliff, forming a hanging staircase that connects the different temple levels along the rock face. From a distance, the white and orange structures appear as a strip clinging to the mountain, looking like a town suspended above the abyss, amidst clouds and heavy winds. This is Mount Imei, located in Sichuan province, with an elevation of 10,167 feet, establishing itself as the highest of China's 4 sacred Buddhist mountains. A network of over 30 ancient temples is built firmly along the steep cliffs, creating a pilgrimage corridor that stretches for dozens of miles. As one of the oldest Buddhist centers, the journey to conquer this mountain has long been associated with rigorous spiritual practice. Narrow paths along the cliff edges provide a powerful visual experience, as if moving between 2 distinct dimensions of space. The presence of ancient trees over 1,000 years old bears witness to a pristine ecosystem preserved through the centuries. The terrain shifts abruptly from dense forests at the base to barren rock near the summit, making every step on Mount Imei unpredictable and challenging. In Ronda in Spain, the entire settlement stands at the edge of El Tajo Gorge, where a small step can lead directly to a vertical drop. This gorge formed over more than 5 million years of erosion, cutting a deep and narrow channel through solid limestone terrain. The area is recognized as one of the most unique urban landscapes in Europe by many international tourism organizations.
Мама, очень вкусно. Кстати, полезно.
The depth reaches nearly 330 feet, with near-vertical walls, making any construction error a serious risk. The main bridge connecting both sides was completed in the 18th century, helping maintain stable transportation. Some sections are only about 50 feet wide, yet still support a complete and functioning urban system above. Castellfollit de la Roca in Spain is a rare geological marvel where the entire village sits perfectly on a super narrow basalt strip. Stretching about 0.6 mile, this landmark looks like a giant stone blade thrusting directly into the deep and rugged valley. Ancient houses here are built right on the edge of a vertical cliff, reaching a height of 165 feet above the ground. The sturdy foundation of this community is actually the result of two volcanic lava flows stacked on each other hundreds of thousands of years ago. Natural river erosion has carved the cliff into a straight wall that makes the living space extremely challenging. This unusual terrain forced humans to adapt and create one of the most gravity-defying residential areas in the world. Perched at the base of the majestic Shkara Peak in the Caucasus, Ushguli stands as one of Europe's highest settlements, with a beauty resembling a village hanging over the abyss. At an altitude of over 2,000 meters, the area is surrounded by permanent glaciers, leaving a narrow road carved into the cliffs as the only possible escape route. Heavy snow covers the landscape for 6 months every year, leaving the entire village isolated amidst freezing ice, thick mud, and treacherous slopes that are difficult to navigate. Ancient medieval stone towers were built to protect the residents from historical conflicts, yet these structures remain highly vulnerable to sudden earthquakes or devastating mountain flash floods. A historic stone church from the 12th century stands firmly on a hill as a spiritual symbol, though the path leading up lacks any safety rails or lights. Walking along the narrow gravel slope toward the church, you feel a deep sense of vulnerability with a sheer rock wall on one side and a steep abyss on the other. Within the mountainous terrain of Indonesia, Wairabo appears as a closed circular structure where pointed roofs gather into a spatial form rarely seen in traditional human settlements. Here, traditional construction techniques use tightly joined wooden frames and thick thatch layers, allowing the entire structure to remain stable in long-lasting, humid mountain conditions. The village sits at about 3,900 feet above sea level, making living conditions, farming practices, and access clearly different from lower regions within the same country. Inside each structure, a 6-level vertical design organizes space efficiently, separating areas for daily living storage and preservation of essential supplies within one enclosed building. All 7 houses are arranged in a complete circular formation, forming a central open space where shared activities take place and maintain strong community connection. This layout not only optimizes limited land use, but also creates a centralized system where all living and storage functions are linked through a shared spatial core. Castellfollit de la Roca stands atop a basalt cliff 50 meters high, a narrow town perched precariously between 2 rivers in the Catalonia region of Spain. Formed by 2 ancient lava flows, this unique basalt formation provides a rigid but limited foundation that offers no possibility for expansion or growth. Following historical earthquakes, houses were rebuilt using local basalt stone, which is durable yet prone to cracking under seismic pressure or environmental stress. From the riverbank, the town appears as a thin line of colorful buildings clinging to the edge, creating a stunning but frightening sight above the abyss. With the ground width only 50 meters in some areas, powerful windstorms or lightning strikes pose a constant threat to those standing near the cliffside. Despite its popularity with tourists, the lack of safety railings along the vertical drops makes every step near the edge a potential danger for the unwary. Amidst the sun-drenched Rio Pueblo Valley of New Mexico, Taos Pueblo stands tall as an ancient adobe city, connecting the desert floor to the vast mountain sky. Built from traditional sun-dried mud bricks, these interconnected structures face a significant risk of collapsing together if a moderate earthquake happens to strike the region. As one of the oldest continuously inhabited settlements in North America, this legendary earthen city has been preserved by the Taos people for over a millennium. From a distance, the multi-storied reddish-gold buildings resemble massive sand walls standing firmly against the backdrop of the towering 12,000-foot Taos mountain peaks. These narrow rooms with flat wooden roofs and few windows form a unique architectural maze that remains highly vulnerable to fire or severe desert windstorms. Despite its incredible survival for over 1,000 years, this living adobe monument remains extremely fragile when facing the harsh forces of nature and modern tourism. This is Oymyakon, an isolated settlement in Yakutia, situated at 2,430 feet, where deep valleys are besieged by high mountains trapping the air. The landscape functions as a massive cold storage jar, preventing frost from escaping and maintaining temperatures significantly lower than any of the surrounding North Asian regions. Danger exists within every breath as moisture freezes instantly, potentially triggering fatal thermal shock and shutting down vital survival functions within just a few short minutes. In this village of 500 residents, any energy failure becomes an immediate disaster as extreme cold destroys fuel lines and essential water infrastructure through freezing. When temperatures reach -90 degrees Fahrenheit, Oymyakon becomes a frozen time trap where all life stops and the basic biological limits of human survival vanish. Hidden deep within the Grand Canyon floor, Supai village sits 3,000 feet below the rim, surrounded by towering red cliffs and ancient rock formations. For over a millennium, the Havasupai people have called this remote canyon home, maintaining a lifestyle that remains largely untouched by the modern outside world. Accessing this isolated territory requires an arduous 8-mile trek or a helicopter flight, as no paved roads exist to connect the settlement with civilization. While the turquoise waterfalls appear paradise-like, they also signal a constant danger of flash floods that can swallow the village's only exit within minutes. This extreme geographic isolation transforms the beautiful desert oasis into a high-stakes survival zone where emergency medical assistance is often hours or days away. In the Svalbard region of Norway, Longyearbyen exists as a geological wonder perched right on the edge of the world's northernmost reaches. To defy the permafrost ground, all houses here must be placed on steel stilts higher than 3 feet to prevent structural collapse. Survival here is so strange that the law has strictly forbidden burials since 1950 because bodies cannot decompose naturally. Every resident stepping outside the town boundaries is required to carry a rifle to deal with the dangerous polar bears. Even maintaining life is challenging, as this town has no maternity hospitals and completely bans the presence of cats. The most impressive highlight is the seed vault, located at an elevation of 430 feet, storing over 1 million precious specimens for all humanity. Deep within the Papua rainforests of Indonesia lies an impossible architectural wonder that defies all laws of gravity on Earth. Native inhabitants here have manually constructed vertical villages perched atop trees at a height of 115 feet. This entire massive structure is tightly bound together using only forest rattan and hardwood without the need for a single iron nail. Unique construction techniques help these palm leaf towers stand firm amidst the rugged terrain and harsh jungle ecosystem. The daily movement of the people depends entirely on single tree trunks with thin notches serving as precarious vertical ladders. Their lives suspended high in the air serve as a testament to extraordinary human creativity and absolute adaptability. You would hardly believe the existence of Kayan village in Myanmar, where every structure sits precariously on limestone cliffs at elevations exceeding 4,000 feet. These wooden stilt houses are constructed using manual joinery techniques on steep terrain sloping up to 60 degrees without using any iron nails. The impossibility of this village lies in how residents must transport essential supplies through treacherous mountain trails measuring only 3 feet wide. Most remarkably, the Kayayan women carry brass coils weighing up to 22 pounds on their necks, which forces their shoulder blades downward extremely. Wearing this heavy jewelry begins at the age of 5 and lasts a lifetime, creating a body structure that defies all laws of physics. This harsh life, clinging to the cliffs, demonstrates the intense survival will of humans against a dangerous and challenging geological landscape. The Asaro Valley in the eastern highlands of Papua New Guinea is a geological wonder located in complete isolation among towering and majestic limestone mountains. This terrain forms a giant basin at an average elevation of 5,250 feet above sea level that challenges all laws of survival. The cliffs have a steepness of 45 degrees, forcing residents to build houses using natural rattan weaving techniques to withstand seismic shocks. The surrounding landscape is carved by canyons hundreds of feet deep, where the Asaro River carries its signature white clay through rocky outcrops. Harsh soil conditions and constant humidity at 90% make farming on these rocky slopes an extraordinary feat of human effort. Tiandu Peak, the backbone of Carp in Anhui, rises with a narrow ridge and near vertical slopes, forming a sharp structure carved from ancient granite millions of years old. The peak reaches about 6,000 feet, yet what makes people hesitate is not the number, but the steep gradient and climbing sections that feel almost vertical. Weathered stone steps, cut into the rock, create a path only wide enough for one person, requiring complete balance control with every careful movement. Before railings and support steps were installed, local residents passed down practical methods of gripping rock grooves to prevent slipping from the exposed ridge. When you step onto the narrow spine and sense deep cliffs on both sides, each move tightens your body, because even a small mistake can bring serious consequences. The mix of rough terrain, confined space, and solid granite mass makes Tiandu Peak one of the most physically and mentally demanding climbs in Anhui. The Omo Valley in Ethiopia is a land possessing incredibly harsh survival structures located directly on the tectonic cracks of the Earth. These villages are built defying gravity on steep cliffs of 80 degrees to protect residents from potential dangers. Local people have designed cone-shaped houses, reaching 20 feet high, entirely from bamboo and leaves, without using any concrete foundations. To maintain life, residents must travel on narrow trails right at the edge of 1,000-foot deep abysses to transport daily necessities. The impossibility of this location also lies in the flexible construction techniques that allow structures to be easily disassembled and moved. The Omo Valley serves as the most vivid testament to the creative ability and resilient adaptation of humans against the treacherous nature of the environment. In the lower Mekong region of Cambodia, Tonle Sap Lake exists as a geological wonder that defies all conventional rules of construction and human settlement. The impossible nature lies in its ability to expand its water surface area from 1,000 to over 6,000 square miles during the flood season. Entire housing structures here are completely foundationless, floating instead on bamboo buoy systems to adapt to water levels rising 30 feet. These massive villages possess the ability to move flexibly for miles along the lake, creating a floating urban center without a fixed coordinate. Residents must anchor their property using ropes tied to submerged mangrove trees to withstand the tremendous pressure of the reverse water flow. The existence of Tonle Sap proves the extreme survival capabilities of humans when establishing life upon a constantly shifting geological entity. Emerging from the heart of Lake Tadan in Ghana, the ancient village of Nzulezo defies all settlement rules by existing entirely on fragile wooden stilts. The entire system of houses and walkways here is supported by thousands of tree trunks driven deep into the thick black mud at the bottom. The only way to access this isolated world is by rowing a boat through dense marshes on a journey lasting for 60 minutes straight. The village structure is connected by narrow bamboo bridge spans where just one careless step could cause you to fall into the deep water. This unique cultural heritage is like a massive wooden ship anchored forever, preserving the ancient traditions of their ancestors perfectly for all future generations. Deep within the dense and untamed jungles of Papua Province in Indonesia, the Korowai people have constructed unique tree houses that hover amidst the vast sky. These structures typically stand 80 feet above the ground, matching an 8-story building secured to trunks using only simple rattan and fibrous tree bark. The fragile wooden floor systems defy every law of physics by supporting an entire family without the use of a single metal nail or bolt. Accessing these elevated homes depends entirely on a solitary and slippery tree trunk carved with small notches that stand vertically in the middle of space. This extraordinary way of living allows the tribe to remain completely isolated from the damp ground, where dangerous predators and heavy floods constantly pose threats. Moving far beyond the boundaries of safety, this village symbolizes the enduring vitality and incredible ability of humans to adapt to the most wild environments. When people think about a place almost cut off from the modern world, Itakortormit in eastern Greenland stands out as a settlement existing within an endless frozen landscape. This area experiences polar night for about 100 days, which forces daily life to adapt to continuous darkness. The population is around 300 people, forming a small community where survival depends heavily on cooperation. The surrounding sea freezes almost entirely for months, with thick ice masses constantly shifting due to ocean movement. Houses are built low and strong on permanently frozen ground to reduce the impact of long-lasting harsh conditions. Summer light can last almost 24 hours each day for more than 2 months, creating a completely different daily cycle. Misfat al-Abriyin in Oman is not built on flat land, but follows a steep rocky slope where life depends on ancient water channels across terraces. The village stands at about 3,000 feet above sea level, forcing all houses and farmland to be arranged in layers to reduce water loss. The Falaj system extends for several miles, moving water by gravity and delivering it directly to each small farming plot without mechanical support. Houses are constructed from local stone and mud, with walls about 2 feet thick, which reduce heat transfer and keep indoor conditions stable over time. Farming plots are divided into small sections that retain around 20% more water than flat surfaces, allowing crops to survive in dry conditions. The Falaj system distributes water through scheduled time slots among households, creating a precise system that has remained stable across generations. Hidden on a limestone slope in the Abruzzo region of Italy, Castrovalva appears like a settlement suspended between high elevation and a deep valley below. Castrovalva sits at about 3,000 feet above sea level, allowing a wide view across a deep valley stretching for many miles below. Stone houses are arranged in stepped layers, using limited space efficiently while reducing pressure on the steep ground beneath. The limestone terrain formed over tens of millions of years, creating steep cliffs and deep valleys with stable geological structure. The access road includes tight turns with a radius under 50 feet, forcing vehicles to move slowly and maintain constant control. The village appeared in a 1929 artwork by M.C. Escher, making many viewers think it stands on a vertical cliff. In the northern high plateau of Spain, Celada de Marlantes appears as an isolated settlement where people must directly adapt to harsh natural conditions. The area stands at about 3,200 feet, where open terrain allows winds to exceed 30 miles per hour and impact structures continuously. Houses are built with thick stone walls and heavy tile roofs, helping reduce damage risk during long periods of strong wind. Many walls measure between 1 and 2 feet thick, creating a protective barrier that stabilizes interior space against environmental forces. The village is spread across wide pasture, making movement and mutual support more difficult when severe weather conditions occur. Some roofs can weigh several thousand pounds. To prevent lifting or structural failure under persistent wind pressure. Located in the southern ocean of Japan, Aogashima village appears as a settlement entirely inside a volcanic structure where enclosed geology creates a fully isolated living space. The main crater has a diameter of about 1.5 miles surrounding the entire community and forming a clear, natural basin. Residents once left the island due to volcanic activity, then returned and maintained a small-scale community. Steep terrain and high surrounding cliffs make access difficult and create natural risks for movement. Volcanic rock layers formed over many thousand years, leaving a clearly visible geological structure. Heat from the ground is directly used for cooking, showing that natural energy still exists beneath the surface. Matmata village, located deep within the desert of Tunisia, is where humans choose to hide themselves inside those deep craters amidst the barren and bald hills. Residents must face dangers from sudden mud floods that can pour down into the pits and bury all the living rooms beneath the heavy sludge. The house structure is dug 23 feet into the erodible sandy soil, making family safety depend on the stability of those vertical earth walls. Each home here is created by digging a giant circular courtyard, then carving bedrooms directly into the parched and dry ground to create living spaces. For 1,000 years, the Berber community has maintained a mysterious pace of life inside these caves that have no windows looking to the outside. Perched defiantly within the Vilcabamba mountain range of Peru, Choqquequirao emerges as an impossible marvel situated over 10,000 feet above sea level. To construct homes on cliffs sloping up to 70 degrees, the Inca manually transported granite blocks weighing thousands of pounds. The residential structures here utilize a mortarless stonework technique so precise that even a single banknote cannot fit through the gaps. Stone walls designed with a slight inward tilt help the entire complex remain stable against earthquakes and treacherous terrain. The unique system of 24 white stone inlaid terraces demonstrates architectural planning capabilities that push far beyond physical limits. Currently, more than 60% of the area remains covered by dense jungle, hiding mysteries of how humans survived amidst the abyss. Located in the remote South Australian desert, Kubapedi is where thousands of people survive, inside massive man-made stone caves. To escape the harsh surface, residents have carved into the sandstone to create homes reaching depths of 23 feet. This entire strange town was formed through opal mining, accounting for over 70% of the total opal production worldwide. These windowless homes completely defy standard architectural rules as humans live and work entirely in the dark. The existence of the largest underground residential area on the planet proves the extreme adaptability of humans to the terrain. Every square meter of land here can hide million-dollar treasures or abandoned mine shafts that are extremely dangerous for anyone. No one would expect a massive structure like Dar al-Hajar in Yemen to stand firmly on top of a sharp limestone pillar rising from the ground. This palace rises above a natural rock column over 65 feet high, making the entire 5-story structure appear as if it is floating in the air. Ancient builders carved directly into the solid rock to form strong interior rooms without using any modern machines or advanced construction tools.
Мама, тренер.
The most intense detail is how thousands of tons of mud bricks and stone balance on a very small surface at the top of the narrow pillar. A deep well stretching dozens of feet was drilled through the center of the rock to bring underground water up to the isolated palace above. This unlikely structure has turned Dar al-Hajar into a powerful symbol of how humans adapt to extreme and dangerous landscapes. Located at an elevation of over 10,000 feet in the Qinghai Basin, Emerald Lake is home to structures built on foundations of high-concentration chemical toxins. Humans here must live in metal containers that are aggressively corroded by a salt crust reaching depths of dozens of feet right beneath them. The lake water displays a vibrant green hue from lithium, a chemical capable of eroding human skin and destroying all natural life. A visibility range of 50 miles across the silent landscape causes workers to frequently lose their sense of direction and feel haunted by absolute isolation. To survive, residents must wear protective goggles constantly to combat intense ultraviolet rays reflecting off salt flats as hard as concrete. This land stands as a physical paradox by transforming a harsh industrial mining site into a wonder that challenges the limits of human existence. The village of Iruya, in the Andes Mountains of Argentina, clings to a rocky outcrop jutting out between very deep abysses and vertical cliff walls. The steep and narrow cobblestone streets become a dangerous trap for anyone who slips while moving across the extremely rugged and challenging terrain. Rainy seasons often cause fierce flash floods at the mountain base, threatening to completely cut off the residents' life from the outside world. Residents build houses made of mud bricks and straw in layers along the slopes to adapt to this extremely limited and small living space. At an altitude of 9,200 feet, humans face serious oxygen shortages in every breath while living on the steep slopes. To transport food and essential goods across the narrow slopes, the local people still maintain the use of donkeys as a primary means. The Magician Grottos in Gansu Province, China, sit precariously on the terrifying vertical cliff of a mountain shaped like a massive and giant pile of straw. The fragile wooden walkway system clinging to the vertical cliff is the only path connecting those houses, suspended between the deep and very dark abysses. Any fracture of the decaying wooden beams could cause the entire path and travelers to fall from a height of 260 feet. Humans carved 194 hollow chambers directly into the red sandstone to create living and worship spaces throughout many thousands of years. Giant clay statues carved directly into the flat rock face create a very strange apartment complex for the gods located high in the empty air. Refuge des Cosmiques sits precariously on the steep cliffs of Aiguille du Midi at an elevation of 11,854 feet in the French Alps. The structure clings to vertical ice and rock faces, creating a hanging shelter system suspended between the frozen terrain and the open mountain sky. From a distance, the white and grey hut appears gripped to the cliffside, looking like a small vessel hanging amidst the vast and jagged mountain landscape. With temperatures frequently dropping below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, the icy surfaces remain permanently slippery, increasing the fatal risk of sliding off the cliff edge. To reach the hut, you must navigate metal bridges and steep snow ridges where every narrow step requires perfect balance to avoid a dangerous fall. Travel journals often rank this site as one of the most dangerous hanging lodges due to its extreme vertical position and unpredictable alpine weather conditions. Explore San Juan de Gaztelu-Gatse, a steep rocky island in the Bay of Biscay, a dangerous hanging town situated in isolation amidst the powerful crashing waves. The island is connected to the mainland by a winding stone bridge, creating a hanging pathway that leads across vertical cliffs and through the howling sea winds. From a distance, the architectural complex appears as a cluster of red structures gripped to the grey cliffside, forming a hanging town suspended between rock and tide. The staircase system is built in a zigzag pattern, perfectly adapting to the natural steepness and the unique shapes of the ancient and jagged rock formations. As you climb to the summit, you feel as if you are entering the border between sky and sea, a journey requiring great courage against the edge. Located approximately 22 miles from Bilbao, visitors must complete a journey on foot along the cliffs and the stone bridge to reach this hanging sanctuary. Located in southwestern Algeria, Taghit appears as a sharp boundary where the dry Sahara meets a green oasis sustained by hidden underground water sources. Massive sand dunes rising hundreds of feet constantly shift with the wind, creating a changing surface that prevents accurate prediction of terrain shapes over time. Inside the dry zone, more than 137,000 palm trees form a stable ecosystem, showing that life depends directly on underground water flow and geology. Rock surfaces nearby contain ancient carvings of large animals, like elephants and giraffes, proving the region once had a wetter climate and richer biodiversity than today. The old settlement, built from compacted earth, uses thick, enclosed structures to reduce sand impact and maintain stable living conditions in a harsh desert environment. You can move from completely dry sand into dense vegetation within a few steps, creating a rapid landscape shift rarely experienced in other desert regions. The Yarlung-Tsangpo Grand Canyon is located in the Tibet region of China and stretches about 340 miles, so it is recognized as one of the longest canyons on Earth. Its depth in some sections exceeds 20,000 feet, so the terrain creates an extreme elevation difference and increases the natural erosion rate over millions of years. The river, flowing through the canyon, carries a large volume of water throughout the year, with strong discharge, so it helps shape the landscape and continuously deepen the canyon over geological time. The rugged terrain and limited access keep the region largely undisturbed, so a wide natural ecosystem can remain intact with minimal human impact. The landscape features towering cliffs rising thousands of feet along the river corridor, so the area is often considered one of the most impressive large-scale natural environments on the planet. Tiger Leaping Gorge is located in Yunnan Province in southwestern China. This canyon formed along the upper reaches of a major river and became one of the deepest gorges in Asia, with a depth of about 12,400 feet. The distance from mountain peaks down to the river surface creates an extreme elevation difference. This condition increases water speed and allows rock erosion to continue steadily over millions of years of geological change. The river is forced through narrow passages only a few dozen feet wide. This restriction increases hydraulic pressure and produces powerful rapids capable of moving rocks that weigh several tons. The terrain of the gorge includes cliffs that rise almost vertically for thousands of feet. This structure makes transportation systems and infrastructure construction extremely difficult from an engineering perspective. For many centuries, this area functioned as a natural corridor through rugged mountains. This role helped people understand survival limits and the need to adapt to challenging environmental conditions. Water pressure inside powerful rapids can become strong enough to move rocks weighing many tons. This force demonstrates the mechanical energy carried by a river flowing through steep and narrow terrain. Mingshan, located in Gansu Province, China, is a vast sand dune complex where peaks reach 300 feet, challenging visitor endurance and balance skills. The sand formations developed over thousands of years from strong winds, moving an average of 1 to 2 meters per year, creating constantly changing, impressive landscapes. The dunes alternate with small, dry valleys, allowing observation of sediment layers and diverse terrain from above. Some large dunes can reach 300 feet high and extend over 1 mile, offering climbing and extreme desert exploration experiences. This area once served as an ancient trade route, allowing visitors to imagine caravans traveling for many days across harsh desert conditions. The sand avalanche phenomenon produces a loud booming sound, like a large drum, when thousands of tons of sand move simultaneously down the slope. In the heart of Guangxi Province, Laie Fengshan rises as a network of enormous sinkholes and deep-cast caves, thrilling every explorer at the sight of the first sinkhole. Some sinkholes here reach nearly 1,200 feet deep, with openings wider than 600 feet, creating a real challenge for those attempting to explore the subterranean depths. Underground rivers flowing through limestone caves form channels and basins, allowing scientists to observe erosion processes over millions of years. The limestone layer ranges from 1,000 to 2,000 feet thick, helping maintain sinkhole stability and forming sharp limestone towers on the surface. This area has been studied since the 20th century, providing crucial data for geological mapping and topographic surveys of Guangxi province. Dushanzi Grand Canyon, located in Xinjiang, China, is a massive canyon with sheer cliffs resembling razor edges, immediately capturing attention from the first sight. The Permian sandstone cliffs here reach heights of 800 feet, formed over millions of years of continuous erosion, creating deep, rugged fissures. The area contains narrow gorges up to 200 feet deep, offering extreme adventure experiences for those exploring harsh terrain. The canyon served as an ancient trade route more than 1,000 years ago, allowing people to traverse the harsh landscape while finding water sources. Wind and rain have carved complex, natural patterns across the rock surface, stretching for miles and demonstrating ongoing erosion over time. Some fissures in the canyon are so narrow that only one person can pass through, making it a rare location worldwide with this unique geological structure. Atenga Desert in Inner Mongolia, China, a vast desert where human vision is constantly deceived by mirages appearing directly ahead. First-time visitors often see what looks like water a few hundred feet away, but as they approach, the entire image disappears completely. With no clear natural landmarks, a person can lose direction within 10 minutes, even when traveling less than 1 mile. Strong winds exceeding 40 miles per hour can erase all footprints within a few hours, making it nearly impossible to return to the starting point. No long-lasting architectural structures exist in the core desert because environmental conditions rapidly destroy materials. In some areas, a white salt layer reflects light so intensely that it becomes impossible to distinguish solid ground from illusion. At Mount Fanjing in Guizhou, China, a nearly vertical rock mass rises into the sky, creating the feeling of being completely separated from the ground. To reach the summit, visitors must climb more than 8,000 steps over several hours, exhausting the body before arrival. Some sections of the path are less than 3 feet wide, with steep drops on both sides, forcing constant balance and focus. The summit is split into 2 separate rock masses, connected by an extremely narrow passage, forming a rare natural structure. When dense clouds form, visibility can drop below 30 feet, causing the surrounding space to disappear within minutes. Constructing structures at the summit required materials to be carried by hand up thousands of steps, a process that took many years under extremely harsh conditions. Flowing through the most rugged mountains of Yunnan province, the New River stretches approximately 1,750 miles, establishing itself as one of the longest rivers in Southeast Asia. The river cuts directly through steep gorges over 10,000 feet deep, creating one of the deepest and most majestic canyon systems in the world. Powerful rapids occur constantly as the water strikes submerged rocks, forming violent whirlpools that are extremely difficult to control. Depending on seasonal sediment levels, the watercolor shifts dynamically into contrasting bands along the swift current. The surrounding ecosystem possesses an incredible level of biodiversity, with over 7,000 plant species recorded. Reaching this river requires you to navigate through steep and unstable terrain, making every journey of exploration here incredibly harsh. Entering Tengchong in Yunnan province, you will encounter one of China's most active geothermal regions, with a network of over 80 hot springs and hundreds of dense, steaming vents. This entire area is built upon ancient volcanic foundations, where deep underground magma silently boils the entire subterranean water system. Columns of white steam erupt continuously from fissures blanketing the landscape in a thick thermal mist that hides lurking dangers. Within the thermal pools, water surges into massive bubbles, a testament to the primal power roaring just beneath the agitating surface. High acidity and extreme mineral concentrations make the water here toxic, ready to cause severe damage to the skin upon contact. Here, every step you take is a gamble, as the boundary between safety and the scorching thermal pits is separated only by a thin, fragile crust of earth. Can you imagine a vast salt sea resting quietly in the heart of a plateau at an elevation of 10,600 feet? This is Qinghai Lake, the largest saltwater basin in China, covering a surface area of approximately 1,700 square miles. Situated at an altitude of 10,600 feet, the water level here exists higher than many major mountain ranges in the world. The lake's deep blue waters create a sharp contrast with the white salt belts covering the shoreline. The slippery surface structure and hidden geological fissures make maintaining balance and navigation difficult. Unstable geological zones along the lakebed can cause sudden sinkholes, posing significant risks to people and vehicles. Langkang River, also called the Upper Mekong Torrent, flows through Tibet and Yunnan, cutting between uplifted mountains and forming a powerful water corridor across the high plateau. This river corridor stretches for hundreds of miles before leaving China, a distance comparable to traveling between two major cities, showing its wide regional impact. The river carved deep, narrow gorges with steep rock walls, compressing space and making roads along the banks, constantly face the threat of landslides. A steep gradient in the upper reaches accelerates the current and creates many rapid sections where hydraulic force has eroded solid rock over millions of years. In the past, riverside communities transported goods by small boats through swirling waters, and several recorded capsizing accidents occurred when currents shifted suddenly. The river supplies vital water to communities while also posing constant danger because strong currents confine terrain and hydropower activity exist within the same limited space. In Inner Mongolia, Turkmen to Sagan, the volcanic ash fissures appears as an ancient volcanic lake surrounded by dark lava fields and long ash cracks, marking violent eruptions in geological history. Local herders explain that crossing the hardened lava field requires memorizing safe paths because one careless step can trap a foot inside a deep natural fissure. Massive lava blocks hardened between networks of extended cracks, leaving rough, uneven ground that increases risk while moving across sharp stone and hidden cavities. The area formed through repeated eruption stages over thousands of years, layering ash and rock into clear geological strata, similar to an open Earth record. The lake, created inside a volcanic crater, forms a rare structure where calm water contrasts with wide, dark basalt terrain spreading outward. This combination of crater lake, fractured basalt, and layered ash makes Turkian Sagan a powerful symbol of long-lasting inland volcanic formation across many millennia. Mount Songshan, the vertical granite walls in Henan, stands in central China, with nearly vertical granite cliffs forming an enclosed and demanding landscape. Massive rock blocks were uplifted over hundreds of millions of years and later eroded, exposing hard surfaces and deep fractures that make several climbing sections steep and physically demanding. The terrain consists mainly of solid granite, with natural stone steps and narrow trails along the slope, requiring careful balance and strong focus at every movement. Local residents explain that before stable paths were established, crossing these vertical rock faces depended on selecting secure grip points within natural grooves. The combination of ancient granite structure, steep gradients, and dense crack networks turns Mount Songshan into a climb that tests both strength and mental stability. Have you ever wondered what power allows the Jinsha River to tear through these rugged mountains to carve a journey of over 1,420 miles? As the primary headwater of the Yangtze, this river cuts through profound canyons with a vertical drop of up to 10,000 feet. These steep, treacherous V-shaped valleys stand as a testament to the fierce erosion of the water over millions of years. With an average slope of about 14 feet per mile, the current remains in a state of constant acceleration, turning the entire upper reach into a ferocious system of rapids that no vessel can conquer. The name Jinsha, meaning golden sands, evokes an ancient era when people extracted precious minerals hidden within the earth and stone. From above, the silt-heavy, murky waters move incessantly, resembling a massive band of liquid metal sliding through the fissures of the earth. On the Tibetan plateau, Lulang Forest appears as a dense woodland where fog constantly blankets the entire landscape. Local residents traditionally avoid going deep into the forest when the fog is thick as the risk of getting lost is far higher than in other areas of the plateau. The fog here does not remain still, but moves continuously, flowing through layers of forest like a slow but unpredictable current. At 10,000 feet low, air pressure, combined with high humidity, allows fog to form constantly and maintain near year-round coverage. From above, tree canopies emerge as scattered patches above a thick fog layer, while everything else remains completely concealed. Dense and moist vegetation helps retain water efficiently, allowing the area to maintain a more stable ecosystem than most surrounding dry plateau regions. At Wuyishan in Fujian, China, there is a narrow rock crevice, only 2 feet wide, where the sky is reduced to a thin line stretching above your head. The vertical cliffs rise about 100 to 160 feet high, forming a compressed space that removes almost all horizontal visibility for anyone walking through. Some sections allow only one person at a time, forcing the body to turn slightly to avoid contact, making every step feel physically restricted by the environment. The rock surface stays wet because water is trapped inside the crevice, so each movement requires careful footing to avoid slipping on uneven stone. Air moves slowly inside this confined space, creating a dense and heavy sensation compared to the open environment outside, even without obvious weather differences. The rock surface shows multiple erosion layers and fine cracks, revealing a long geological history shaped continuously by water and weather over time. This is Ronda, a town situated on a rugged limestone plateau in Andalusia, appearing as a massive hanging structure perched right at the edge of steep and daunting cliffs. The El Tahoe Gorge drops more than 328 feet, splitting the town in two and creating a hanging space between the vertical rock walls. The town features one of the oldest bull rings in Spain, where spectators and matadors face intense matches located very close to the sheer mountain abyss. Standing on the cliff, looking down at the Guadalquivir River, makes visitors feel as if they are suspended on the sky's edge with a constant fear. To reach this remote hanging urban center, you must travel 62 miles along steep mountain roads, connecting from the coastal city of Malaga. Once a strategic military hub, Ronda utilized its cliffs as a natural defensive shield that also serves as a permanent and dangerous vertical drop. Rather than a city built outward, Vardzia Cave City in Georgia appears like the interior of a mountain opened wide, where an entire living space remained hidden inside rock for centuries. Across this exposed surface, layered spaces extend about 1,600 feet and stack into 19 levels, making the mountain function as a pre-organized multi-level structure within. This multi-level organization forces movement through narrow tunnels, carved stairs, and tight passages where each step requires balance and constant awareness of the surrounding stone. To create such a system, builders carved directly into volcanic tuff, a material that allows large spaces to be formed while maintaining long-term structural stability. Within this rock mass, about 500 caves once connected living areas, communal spaces, and a water system extending roughly 2 miles, forming a complete enclosed settlement. When every function from living to storage and movement is integrated within a single rock mass, the site demonstrates how terrain itself can be transformed into a fully contained human system. Baima Snow Mountain in Yunnan, China, is a high-altitude range where weather can completely shift within hours, creating a harsh experience from the very first step. At elevations above 13,000 feet, people quickly feel short of breath because oxygen levels drop by about 40%, causing faster energy loss than normal. In heavy snow conditions, visibility can fall below 30 feet, which is enough for a person to lose direction within minutes if they move off course. Steep terrain combined with loose snow creates a constant risk of natural snow slides even without strong external triggers. Within a short journey, the landscape rapidly shifts from dense forest to bare rock, and snow showing a sharp and continuous change in elevation. Water here can boil at around 185 degrees Fahrenheit, instead of the usual levels, showing how low air pressure directly affects basic survival activities. This is the Gaoligong Mountains, a massive botanical fortress along the Yunnan-Myanmar border, encompassing isolated primeval forests and hidden valleys. With the highest peak reaching approximately 16,700 feet, this region creates an extreme vertical elevation gain, leading to drastic changes in climate and pressure from base to summit. This ecosystem is recognized by UNESCO as part of a World Heritage Site, harboring thousands of Asia's rarest biological species. The specific geological structure, characterized by near-vertical slopes and dense jungle, makes establishing a direct travel route impossible. Beneath the lush greenery lies a system of jagged cliffs and deep chasms where torrential currents exert continuous erosive pressure on the rock surfaces. The combination of severely fragmented terrain and natural barriers transforms Gaoligong into a difficult-to-penetrate boundary, concealing unpredictable geological risks.